We're live.
Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to the Hockey Nation live show with Coach Francis directly from the booth. And we have to go directly to the West Coast, California, to find our co-host, Michael DeVillano. Welcome back, Michael. Happy Thanksgiving. And we are ready to have a great week in USC Thanksgiving. We have maybe people from, Germany right now listening to us, and they don't have Thanksgiving in Germany, by the way. So
no,
it's only us.
Nothing to be thankful for.
Exactly. So it's going to be a great week for hockey for sure. I'm sure we're going to hear more about the NHL returning. It's coming if it's going to be at the beginning of January or in February, and how many games and how the kind of situation around the NHL. But finally, Michael, we have a signature. We have someone decide to sign a contract.
Oh boy, that's risky.
The Ottawa Senators signed just an entry-level contract deal with their Igor Sokolov. I don't know if you know him.
He played in the Q, right?
I believe he played there, but I'm not sure. Try to look about him. Or Sokolov signed a 3 years contract with Ottawa Senators.
He's a big guy, 6'4", 223, but he looks like he can score. He had 46 goals with Cape Breton. And he had at the World Juniors, he had 3 goals in 7 games.
Yeah, he played in Cape Breton, honestly. He's 20 years old. Did he age out?
Did he age out? Yeah. He is 20, so I don't know. He's got to play in the AHL somewhere or the K, but he's not playing in the K, so.
Now, he cannot play because he's a 2000.
In the KHL?
No, he cannot play in junior. He is age out.
Oh, no, yeah, he's done with junior, but he was like, he had 100 goals in over 3 years with Cape Breton. Yeah. 46 goals in 52 games. The guy can score.
He got picked this year, second round, 61 overall.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick. I don't know much about him, but I'll definitely start looking for him.
And
so he led Cape Breton in scoring.
I cannot see him stat right now, 2021. So
he's not playing anywhere. So they must have him pegged to go. If he's a 2000. I think 2001, he could play as an overager, no?
He cannot play junior for sure. Because he was born June 7th.
Yeah, maybe.
So he have to be somewhere where they play hockey or whatever it is. You know what they expect from him? They expect him to be at EHL 2021.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But that's me.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll play anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, they could use him to score in the NHL. If he could score in the NHL, they'd be excited.
So, yeah, so that, you know what I mean? Like he's 21 this year. So
yeah, it's a good thing.
It's just rare at that level draft at 20 years old compared to 19, 18, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean it's funny because the guy produces offensively everywhere he plays. So he's a big guy. He's heavy. He's really heavy.
Yeah, exactly.
If 6'4", 223, either he's fully developed or he needs to lose a little bit of weight, like maybe 5-10 pounds.
Yeah. So we have a couple of
man. I'd be curious. I have to watch him and see. I don't know what kind of player he is.
Yeah, we'll see what could happen. We have a couple of news. Just one, a bad one, is about the member of the Pittsburgh Penguins, ex-players, Ken Schinkel, member of the expansion in 67, died at 87 during the weekend. He was one of the great hockey players, but also like really attached with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's from Saskatchewan, Canada. Have to play many games, and he played also with the Rangers. Prior to that one over there. So really sadness for loser, an icon for the Pittsburgh, Ken Schinkel, honestly. So that's happening this weekend. On the good news, could have been mentioned on a TSN, I believe. He was recovery 100% of his surgery, so he's ready to go. I don't know if you have a chance to watching hockey this weekend, but it was hockey this weekend in Canada. The World Junior played 2 games this weekend, so
Where did you watch that?
yeah, it take time. By the way, Greg was back on the ice after COVID situation at the early beginning of the November. I don't know if you know about that, but it was
Ridley Gregg?
He was positive earlier the first week. So he came back yesterday skating by himself for the first time. So,
who's that?
Is it Riley Gregg?
Oh, Ridley Gregg, yeah.
Yeah, Riley, right? So, yeah. So it was
Ridley.
but the funny thing about this is that 2 coaches in the team at 2021, assistant coach Michael Dick and the goaltender coach Jason Labarbera are saving a 14 days quarantine after a member of the Hockey Canada staff working evaluate can test positive for the coronavirus Saturday. So they will be out for 2 weeks. Very interesting. I don't know if you follow, very well, like Jason Labarbera. Was Los Angeles King.
Yeah, he was in the NHL a bit with Rangers and Kings, and he's a big goalie. He carved out a decent career for himself. I mean, I thought he's one of many goaltending coaches in Hockey Canada. I mean, I feel like Hockey Canada would really benefit from one voice. I don't know. I'm not sure how great the goalies are this year, but the rest of the team is insane.
Yeah. Talking about front players doing well on the overseas right now, we have Joe Thornton is doing well over there. In Switzerland, so we have a good time over there. He produced point. Jesperi Kokanemi have 8 points the last 5 games.
Good, because he started really slow, right?
Slow with 0-4, and then finally came back over there. I don't know what happened with Cole Caulfield this weekend. I didn't follow up with him, honestly.
It's really weird. Like, he's playing on the opposite wing. Like, normally he plays.
Sorry about that one. He was on the. No, he's on the play. This year, because Turcotte left and you have another player left, they put him, Caulfield, now on the point where the people don't understand.
Stupid, man. That's like stupid. Why would you put that kind of point? And then he's playing on the left side instead of or the right side instead of the left, because he's a right shot, and you want him on the one-timer side. I mean, that guy's a snipe show. But the other guy that's there is Dylan Holloway, which I really like Dylan Holloway. That was a great pick by Edmonton. But I mean, come on.
Yeah. Funny, they still talking about 4
assists and no goals. 4 assists and no goals for Caulfield. This is a goal-a-game player.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. We have a lot of news about Boston Bruins area. About they're still talking about Coyotes, Arizona, about maybe get OEL. What I believe, I'm not sure about that one. They're still thinking about Jake DeBrusk to sign a contract, $3.5 to $4 million. I believe that's a good contract.
That's what he should sign for, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You see some rumors of him for Line. I don't see that making sense to me.
I think Hoffman could be another direction for him.
For Arizona?
Boston.
He's a good fit in Boston. He's a good fit in Columbus. Yeah, either way, he would fit well in both those teams.
Would you sign him for $6 million?
Hoffman?
Yeah.
No.
1 year.
1 year, I think he'll get 5.5 at the most. But maybe. I mean, he can score. He gets points. I just, he's a player where if you watch him as a coach 5-on-5, you're not really happy.
I really believe he can get it. I really believe he can get it.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. I don't know if I would sign him for that. I would really have to think. It's okay for 1 year maybe, especially a lockout shortened year where you're not going to actually pay him that. Like you're going to end up paying him a fraction of that. He'll make $4 million.
Yeah.
It feels more palatable that way.
I don't know. I think at $6 million he should be not too bad over there.
Yeah, but not term. I would not give him term at $6 million.
I would be very serious. You know, very bit nervous about getting more at this part for that moment. I think he's doing like, you know, by the fact talking about some players go over there with you love Detroit. So Maurice Seider, is it Seider, defenseman?
Or Moritz Seider, yeah, he's so good.
Yeah. So
great.
7.8 games.
He's so good, Pierre. Like he is Stevie Yzerman and Håkan Andersson and whoever else said to draft that guy, like Chris Draper. I don't know if it was him, but man, what a pick.
Yeah.
Every time I watch him, people do not get by him. His stick is like one of the best sticks, like active defensive sticks. He rubs guys out. He closes gaps, and he's big, and he plays big, and he can skate, and he makes great passes, and he steps up in the play. You're like, okay. Like, how good can this guy get? He could be really good. I mean, I think we all put an asterisk.
Zadina doing well, and he played on the Czech Republic where he is born. Play for the Trinek Oscillary. He has 5 goals in the 7 contests so far for that team over there.
This guy is a snipe show. This guy, he scored 8 goals last year with Detroit in what, 24 or 25 games?
Yeah. No, he's a scorer. He can score. He was played well with Quebec. I mean, people let him go, but see what happened. Talking about,
I think I told you when we were at that draft, and I talked to Ken Holland, I was like, you should send a bottle of champagne to Phoenix and Montreal. You just got the steal of the draft.
Talking about news, and just like I got this on my phone right now, but I just got online to be sure it's confirmed, but it's officially confirmed. The Florida Panthers do not sign Pollard, but they signed a lot of staff management. They have named Shane Shurla as the new director of amateur scouting.
That's really good.
Last 7 years with the Montreal Canadiens scouting department, 13, 14 to 18 and 19, 20, including the last 4 years as a director of amateur scouting, and the 3 as a chef of amateur scouting. So, very interesting. You know, someone asking me why this could happen is because, you know, in hockey it's about friends, about connections, about relationship, and maybe he has a good one with Bill Zito, and that's maybe the reason why it could happen, but I believe that's what the reason is.
Well, Shane Shurla is very good judge of talent. That's actually a good move.
He's very close with Rick Dudley. They work together for Montreal, and the
Montreal group has done a very good job overall. I mean, I think that's a good move. That's a good opportunity for Shane. So, congrats to him.
Yeah,
I gotta text Alvin now.
Yeah, a lot of fun things going on around the league, but I think it's a good move for everybody. For him, I agree with you about that one over there.
Oh yeah, good move for Florida too.
Yeah, you know, he's like what 12 years, I believe, now in NHL.
Oh yeah, no, he was a fighter in the NHL, but he's a legitimate, talent evaluator. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Very interesting what you just said. You know, he have a contract where he was really, his career in hockey was different, like what he is today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's still big. Have you seen him?
Yeah,
he looks like a biker.
He was what, 6'4", 6'5"?
I don't know. But he's a thick person. Like he's 6'1", but I think he's a pretty strong guy.
Yep. No, I know. He was a good fighter too.
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh, yeah, you see him with because that's right. Because Dudley was in Montreal, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's a couple of years before he went to Minnesota Wild, I believe, right? After that.
Who?
Dudley.
He was in Carolina.
He left Montreal for Carolina.
Yep.
I thought he
He was
left.
with Don Waddell.
Okay. I thought he went to, yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was a good one over there. So,
I mean, look at everywhere he's gone. Rick Dudley is a guy that lives in the rinks and is also a great evaluator of talent.
he's what, over 70 years old, I believe.
Yeah. And I don't know. I always feel he's done a very good job of evaluating players and picking good draft picks.
Yeah, definitely.
Now the work begins, right?
Yeah. So what's still going to happen over there? Now, when I think that's pretty much what I have of other effect. Like we have, of course, a couple news on the.
Yeah. So I have like 12 minutes, Pierre.
All right, go ahead with your team.
I just have to do another call. All right, so let's go back. Where is it? Cool. All right, so today we're talking about the St. Louis Blues. We all know that 2 years ago the Blues went from last to winning the Stanley Cup all in the same season. I feel like they had a very strange off season. I don't know about you. It's Craig Berube has established himself as an excellent coach, and their numbers were good last year. They had a good season, but I think the most bizarre moves to me were, not re-signing Alex Pietrangelo, and we'll talk about how this defense is structured. And then even, frankly, like Jake Allen probably would have got too much money for being a backup because he played 24 games last year, but he had a good season. He had one of his better years. He seems suited to that backup role. So they probably got, more money than he would have in St. Louis. So they traded him and they get something back for him. But the biggest misstep, frankly, is letting your captain, Alex Pietrangelo, who's a top 5 or 7 defenseman in the NHL on any given day, walk. And they signed Tory Krug. They signed Kyle Clifford. Ville Husso is going to be the backup goalie. He's not young, so they kind of know what they're getting in him, Finnish goalie. But, Jake Allen could have been a guy you kept and then exposed in the expansion draft. So now they're totally relying on Jordan Binnington, whose season was maybe a little off. He struggled at times. Overall, his numbers are very good, and I do believe in Binner. He's a good goaltender. He's a guy that, probably just had a bit of a hangover after winning the Stanley Cup. He's overall, though, a pretty solid goalie. He does need a number 2, in my opinion, though. I don't think it should be a 1A and then a B or a number 2. But it is what it is. They still have Ryan O'Reilly, Shen. Perron is still playing at a very high level. Tarasenko only played 10 games last year, so his health is a concern as he again starts on the IR in the coming season, it looks like. In the draft, they got Jake Neighbours, which I think was a pretty reasonable pick. The Edmonton Oil King he's a good prospect. I don't project him necessarily as being a top-line player, but he fits with the mold of St. Louis players where he's good at a lot of things. He's smart offensively. He's a good skater. Like he'll probably play in the NHL at some point, but you don't project him as like a number 1 center, maybe a 3 or a 2. Klim Kostin gives them some hope. His development's been positive. He's a big power guy with lots of skill. Whether he'll be able to pull it all together is a big question. I really question if they're going to make the playoffs. If you look at their cap situation, it's not horrible, but it's not amazing. So, this was a contract that Ryan signed a while ago at 7.5.
Their space is zero.
What's that?
Their space is 0. Projected cap space is going to be 0.
They have it's weird. I don't know what other moves they could have made, but they could. There's another team that could probably use some offensive help. At 7.5, Ryan's probably paid correctly, but it was like a stretch for Colorado moved him to Buffalo because of that number. He was up in that range, but now we know the guy's been an MVP. He does everything well. He's probably going to be the captain. I don't love Braden Shen, and certainly not at 6.5. Jaden Schwartz will be a UFA. He's a talented player, but doesn't get massive offensive numbers. We can see game to game he's very good. $5 million for Tyler Bozak's painful, but that contract also goes away. So in a year, they're not in too bad a shape. And in a lockout shortened season, everyone's going to get, or not lockout, but COVID shortened season, everyone's going to, be paid a fraction. Perron at $4 million is an absolute steal. He's been maybe their best overall winger forward. He's been really good. Sundqvist at 2.7 feels expensive. Sanford at 1.5, Blay at 1.5, Barbashev at basically 1.5. Those are all reasonable contracts. They have one more year on Robert Thomas's deal. Presumably he'll get up in this range and take some of the money. They're not going to re-sign Bozak. I can't imagine that unless it's like a really, really, really cheap contract. He's still an effective third-line player, but you don't want to be paying him $5 million. Schwartz might be okay at $5 million, but he's not. He's going to barely get you 20 goals. The real painful thing to me is Justin Falk at 6.5. When they signed this contract, I was really shocked. And he has a no movement clause. I understand what Justin Falk does. He can play the right side. He can play the left side. He's a guy that has offensive numbers historically, but his numbers were in the tank last year. It's terrible. And then to give 6.5 to Tory Krug, right there, you have $13 million to me. And then Scandella at 3, Parayko at 5.5. I like.
Agree what I said to you? You agree when I said to you, Justin Falk is almost the same like Tory Krug as a player,
but he doesn't get the numbers anymore.
No, they are two similar players. Does it make sense? Like all carry on the offensive side, they carry on that part. So I think they will need that money to be more like a player with more physical, more not the way where it's already been because I believe they are for 6.5. I think their mistake last season is to give that money to Justin.
Absolutely. He's like,
the Tory Krug is well spent.
Yeah, that's reasonable. But I think, to move on from Pietrangelo and say, oh, well, Tory Krug's a left shot and Justin Falk's a right, we're happy. Something else is going on we don't know about. Because if the number what did he sign for? What did Pietrangelo sign for? $9 million?
Yeah.
You give $9 million to Pietrangelo. The guy, so the thing about Alex Pietrangelo is he's a little bit, he's a very kind of a headstrong guy, right? And he's competitive, but he's really good. I mean, this guy's so good. So I don't know if there's something else going on there because he can be, he can come across as a strong personality, but the guy won a cup, for a reason. Like the story that I heard before St. Louis won the cup, the story I heard was that they were really unhappy with Mike Yeo to the point where some fathers of certain players, not Ryan, that he never said anything, but another player that was on the team at the time, but no longer is, said Pietrangelo went through the dressing room and said, we're done playing for this guy. And he told the players, we're done. And they went on a 9-game losing streak and were last at one point. They made the coaching change, and then we know the story. They made the playoffs, they won the cup. So I don't know if there's hard feelings by management around that, and I don't know what else is going on, but it just seems bizarre to me. On paper, you always keep a player like Alex Pietrangelo. I mean, you never move a guy you don't let him go for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 6'3", 6'4". I know other, coaches, like one of my mentor coaches, Mary Chiquilo coached him in Niagara, and Greg Gilbert coached him in Niagara. And the guy's and then, we took over the team that Alex left in the Toronto Junior Canadiens. So this guy has always been one of the best players in his age group and every level, and including the NHL. Is Tory Krug? Is Justin Falk? There's no way. I would rather give $10 million to Pietrangelo and give $3 million to someone to play with him, because you could play someone with him you can. Anyways, I think this move is going to be haunting them for a long time. I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, when you do the math,
the only thing could happen is because Tarasenko. But now the question is this part is what kind of Bennington you're going to get? The Bennington of a playoff or the Bennington of the season? You have a great season. You have 30 wins,
yeah,
30 losses, right? But during the playoff, completely fall apart. 5 losses, 3 point something. I think he has 4 per goal per game. He's completely lost. So that's a red flag over there.
It's a concern. But I think, okay, again, I will go back to the Binnington I know since he was 14. He steals games. He can, if he's off, his off is still better than a normal goalie. And when he gets his physical part and his mental part in line, man, he's hard to beat. Like he's one of those guys that at every level he steals games. I have to believe he will be very good for them. Now, I do also believe that he would be a benefit. It would be a benefit to him to have a backup that can play 35 games and he plays 47. I don't think he should be a guy that plays 60, and they don't have that guy right now. Now, they are counting on Joel Hofer. Joel Hofer is legit. He's a big goalie, comes from the Portland Winterhawks, played for Team Canada. Joel Hofer is a very, very, very good goalie. So they have a legit guy in the system that maybe isn't high profile, but he should be an NHL goalie. Now, he ain't going to be an NHL goalie this year, and maybe not next year. So they have a problem in net. They have a weird structure, and I think they have a goal-scoring problem because Tarasenko is going to start the seat, on the IR.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem they have on that side. And then the only thing they are lucky, but still, when the third center, Tyler Bozak, get $5 million, that's another flag where they are limited to make some transaction or to get some movement over there. They have spent over $23 million for the
very, very strange, questionable moves. I don't understand it. The other one I will mention is Dominic Bach, who went to Carolina and is signed in Carolina, and Dominic Bach is going to be a very good player. So there's a prospect that is ready for the NHL probably.
And then we never mentioned this. Remember the trade with Detroit for Jacob de la Rose versus
Fabry. Like, wouldn't you like Fabry back?
Yeah, because right now they had to sign Kyle Clifford to get him. You know what I mean?
And Fabry's showing he's a 20 goal scorer when he's healthy.
The only thing I would say to you, we have to do I really, really happy about the performance.
It's very strange. Unfortunately, I have to jump here, but if you look at this breakdown, I think they have a goal scoring problem without Tarasenko. If you had Tarasenko back, obviously the guy's a 30, 35 goal scorer, and this number changes. But the way it is right now, I'm concerned for them. They're on the edge of not being a playoff team. Now, I think they might squeak in because there's some intangibles there and there's depth. But they need Tarasenko in, and these Falk's got to be able to produce better than what we saw last year.
It's a good point. You're the first one, or maybe one of few said St. Louis in the bubble to make playoff. I did not see that way, but without Tarasenko and without Pietrangelo, and who knows about Bennington?
Well, and let's point out one other thing. What we don't see is the Alex Steen contract. Because he's on the IR, right?
Yeah.
So the Alex Steen contract on top of it is like $5 million. So he's not going there.
He's not going to play back. He's not going to play.
You think he's done?
Maybe with St. Louis because they don't have no money to put him back.
It's crazy, Pierre. It's just like and this is a byproduct sometimes of winning a cup, but I think I would have just made some different decisions. That's all.
That's hard. When you win a cup, it's always hard to find 2 years.
Always hard, man. It's definitely. And they haven't even signed Vince Dunn, who plays top 4 minutes.
That's the one there I was going to mention to you. Dunn is not signed. They have only $1.1 million on a cap right now.
It's going to be weird. They're going to have to do something. I mean, you could see Bozak, Steen, those are all issues, but unfortunately I have to jump here, but
Yeah, the only good news for they have a good list for giveaway to Seattle. You know
Yeah,
what I
in a
mean? Like,
year they're not. In a year they're in different situations. Some of those contracts expire and they'll move on from some. But this
yeah.
is not a Stanley Cup contender, in my opinion. I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. I think it's going to be very tough.
I'm not agree with that, but you know what? You
It just
make
depends.
it made me thinking differently. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So thanks again, everybody. We are
Thank you.
going back today, but look forward to see you tomorrow morning Eastern time, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Have a great Monday.
Hey, Michael, how are you?